Welcome back to HIM Tutorials. As 14 chapter we are doing electricity and circuits, and under this main heading we are going to do the subtopic current and charge. And today's learning objective which we will learn in this session is difference between charge and current and types of cells and power plants. So let's begin with the first objective, that is difference between charge and current. To find out the difference between charge and current, we will take an example of a metal piece. In this metal piece, as we know, it is a solid. So in solids, the atoms are very tightly bound to each other, and in each atom the center is having positive charge and the shells are having negative charge electrons. We are taking the conducting material. Why? Because conducting materials have free electrons, and we have discussed earlier that the current move with the help of these free electrons. So we are just taking that conducting material. So at the room temperature also, these conducting materials have free electrons in them, but they can't move in one direction and conduct electricity. Why? Because they do not have any kind of external source of energy. Now I am going to bind this metal piece with a source of energy as a cell. So here in cell, the part of the cell which is little bit outward, that is positive, and the flat surface of the cell is called as negative. So this is the positive terminal and this is the negative terminal. So in ancient time, when the electron was not discovered, it was assumed that the current flows from the positive terminal to the negative terminal, because they thought that the positive terminal has higher potential as compared to negative terminal. Now what is this potential? Potential means amount of energy. Let's understand this with a simple activity. As I made some mountains, and from the mountains a waterfall is coming out, and this waterfall is just joining the river. So what is going on here? The water has high potential at the highest point, and as it is moving from higher point to the lower point, it means the energy of the molecules also got decreased when they are in lower point. So higher point has the highest potential and lower point has the lowest potential. Similar is with the current. They have assumed that the current always flows from the high potential to the low potential, and they consider the high potential as the positive charge. So they thought that current flows from the positive terminal to the negative terminal. What I say? That they thought that current flows from positive terminal to the negative terminal. But when the J.J. Thomson has given the electron, he found the electron, then at that time it was known that actually the electrons are moving inside the materials, and these electrons are responsible for carrying out the current. But this discovery of electron and the assumption of positive and negative terminal is having very large difference of time, almost hundreds of years. So up to that time it was not possible that all the theories related to physics was changed. So in today's scenario, we consider both the things. We consider that the current flows from positive terminal to the negative terminal, but in case of charge that is present on the electrons, and electrons have negative charge, and we know that negative and positive, they both attract each other. So the electrons will flow from negative terminal to the positive terminal. So what I am saying that the charge will flow from negative terminal to the positive terminal. So both the current and charge, they both are opposite to each other. What they are? They are opposite to each other. That the current flows from positive terminal to the negative, but the charge flows from negative terminal to the positive. Why is it so? Because in case of solids, the atoms are very tightly packed and only electrons are there which can move. But in case of liquids, there is little bit difference, because in case of liquids, both the ions, positive ions and negative ions, both can move. So let's see in case of liquids now. In case of liquids, again I am taking the container and I am going to fill the salt solution, just solution of a common salt, that is NaCl. NaCl solution. Now what will happen? This NaCl solution container, when it is also connected to the external source of energy, as cell I am going to place here again, as this is the positive terminal and this is the negative terminal. Now what will happen? As the external energy is given, then this liquid which has salt solution, actually the liquid which has salt solution and which is capable of conducting the electricity, that is called as electrolyte. So this electrolyte, what will happen here? This salt will get dissociated into two kinds of ions. They will form Na positive and Cl negative. Now Na positive and Cl negative both are free. Why? Because in liquids the atoms are not tightly bound, so these ions are free to move. So the positive charged ions will move toward the negative terminal and the negative charge will move towards the positive terminal. So this is how there is difference between the movement of ions in case of solids and in case of liquids. And also the first objective is complete here, that the charge and current, how they flow in opposite direction to each other. The current flows from positive terminal to negative and the charge moves from negative terminal to the positive. Now the second objective, the types of cells. As the continuous flow of energy was first given to us in form of cell, and the first ever cell which was formed by the scientist, he was Alessandro Volta, and he gave the cell called as voltaic cell. But there is one drawback with this cell. The drawback is this, that the electrolyte which is present in it, or the chemical which is present in it, that is in liquid form. So it is very difficult to carry this liquid cell from one place to another. So after many experiments, the scientist had discovered one new cell, that is called as the dry cell. Now this dry cell is also converting the chemical energy into the electrical energy, but this time the chemical which used in the dry cell, that is in form of paste. So the paste is undergoing a number of chemical reactions, and the chemical energy is converted into the electrical energy. So dry cell which we use in our home, I brought one cell for you all, that this is the dry cell. And you can see that this the structure which you can see pointing upward, this is the positive terminal, and the flat surface, this is the negative terminal. So many kinds of dry cells we are using today, as we are using button cells, we are using solar cells, we are using storage cells, and this is one kind of button cell. This is used in wrist watches. So different kind of dry cells nowadays we are using. Now here the second objective is complete, that different type of cells we have discussed. Now for the third objective, that is different type of power plants. So why the use of what is the use of power plant to us? These cells these dry cells are just the source of little amount of energy for a limited time or for small scale. But those places where there is need of continuous flow of energy and high voltage or high current is required, like offices, factories, industries, so there the need of power plant is there, because this power plant is lead to the production of large amount of electric current. That is called as electric power plant. So electric power plant is using different type of sources to produce the electricity. So what kind of sources they are using? As hydropower plant uses water energy to form the electricity. Second is thermal power plant. Thermal power plant is using heat to produce the electricity. And last one is the wind energy power plant. And this power plant uses the wind energy or energy of the wind to produce the electricity. So I hope you understood all the topics very well, as we have discussed that the charge and current, they both flow opposite to each other. In case of solids, only one kind of ions can flow as a charge, that are the electrons. In case of liquids, we can see that two types of charges can easily flow, both the positive ions, both the negative ions, and different type of cells we are using today. But nowadays mostly the cell which we are use, that is the dry cell, and the dry scale cell gives the energy for the small scale, but for the large scale we have to go for the electric power plants. And hydropower plant used water for producing electricity, thermal power plant use heat, and wind energy power plant use energy of the wind. So up to our next session, keep watching, and in our next session we will discuss about the internal structure of the dry cell. Up to then, thank you.